cool. Actually, that's good.
Hey, everybody, thank you very much for joining me. I've got a great show this evening. I was lucky enough to meet this gentleman in Canada. He is Michael Burgess, and he has the hot sauce company and spicy food company called NERPY'S. Now, I thought I was going to be able to talk to him in Canada, and come to find out he's coming to us live from Jamaica. So we're going to get him on here in a minute, and I want to invite all of you over to the Tasting the Heat YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe there and hit the notification bell, and also the Tasting the Heat Facebook page. And tonight's interview is for Chili Magazine. Go on over to Chili Magazine at chilimagazine.net for all your spicy food information from around the world. So without further ado, let's get Michael in here. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great. I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm down here in Jamaica, brother. And as I say, everything is airy, no problem.
Nice. And you got your red stripe with you?
I do have a cold red stripe sitting right in front of me.
I love Jamaica. I've been down there a couple times, and the people are fantastic, so friendly. The food was wonderful, especially with all them jerk chickens, the shacks on the side of the road. And there's always somebody there with a cold beer for you, and it's always a red stripe, so you know it's got to be fun.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now,
yes, sir.
You are from Jamaica originally, is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I was born and raised here, and then I moved to Canada when I was 12 years old. My parents, packed up and we left and went to Canada. And I basically, grew up there, went to school there, college, everything. And then when I was sort of halfway through college or just about done, I packed up and came back down here, and I lived here for a few years, and was in charge of some businesses down here. And then I left and went back to Canada in 1999, and been there ever since.
Nice. Yeah. Now, do you go back down? Do you still have family in Jamaica?
Absolutely. And I try to come down here at least once a year, sometimes twice if I can get the time. And as you know, in our business, it's sometimes that's a challenge, right? When you're running a business, it's hard to get the time to get away. But I try to get down here once or twice a year.
Nice. Now, you were telling me before we started the show that you are at the place where kind of it was the birthplace of some of your sauces and the idea to bring NERPY'S out. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sitting at a place in Kingston, Jamaica called JoJo's, and the gentleman who owns this place is a good friend of mine, and I kind of helped him get this place started when I was living here. And one year I came down here on vacation, and I came to see him, and it's a cool little spot because it used to be a grocery store, but he put a little bar in the back of the grocery store. So for the gentlemen who had got their honey-do lists for groceries, they would come into the spot, and you could come in and give your list to the people in the grocery store, and they would put together a list for you. You could go in the back and have a beer while you're waiting for your groceries to get prepped. Really cool idea, really cool concept.
Yeah.
And you sit under here, there's like a mango tree and whatever, and then the place kind of grew and expanded. But so a really cool little spot. And then my friend Paul, who runs the place, decided he was going to start cooking some food because, of course, you can't just have a bar without food.
Right.
So anyways, he started doing some food, and when he started doing the food, I was here just around that time, and he called me up and he said, "Hey, Michael, come by. I want you to try the food. Let me know what you think. You're kind of like an owner here, kind of thing." And I'm like, all right. So anyways, I came down here. We had some food, and the food was great, but the one thing was missing was the pepper sauce.
Nice.
So I said to him, I said, "Paul, the food is good, but I need some heat, man. Come on, So he sent the guy to the back, and one of the guys comes back with some pepper sauce, and it was amazing. Probably one of the best hot sauces I've ever had. And I said to Paul at the time, I said, "Listen, you need to take the sauce and put it on the road. You need to start bottling this and put it on the road." And anyways, I said, "Then before I leave, you got to make sure I get a few of those bottles to take back to Canada with me." And sure enough, I did. He gave me a couple of jars. I took it back to Canada. And the challenge was I went through it, and in trying to get some more, obviously, he wasn't at a point where this was a commercial thing with him. And so I was like, all right. So the only way I could get some of it was if somebody came down here and brought it back up to Canada, kind of thing, or you know, he shipped some, and it wasn't like that. So it was just I couldn't get it. So basically, the bottom line was I started tinkering around with recipes and trying to replicate and bring a sauce that was close to what I had here at this spot. And lo and behold, like I stumbled upon my own recipe, and NERPY'S was born.
NERPY'S. Now,
yeah, the hot sauce that my flagship hot sauce came out of trying to replicate that sauce that I fell in love with here.
Now, is that the one that I have here?
Yeah, that's it, my man. That's our gold, very hot Scotch bonnet mango.
This is an excellent sauce. Where's my camera? There it is. Excellent sauce. I love this stuff, and it goes with everything. Great with chicken. Great with even vegetables. Everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool concept. That particular sauce, you know, when I put it out there and put it together, and it finally, you know, after tweaking the recipe, but when we finally got it done and got it to market, it's just been such a well-received sauce, and I think it's got a nice balance of heat and more so flavor, and that was my ultimate goal. It wasn't to make it like the hottest sauce out there, you know, to win any kind of hot sauce competitions, which of course, as you know, we've won a couple. Yeah. Or won some awards and so forth, but it was really just about putting together a nice, flavorful, you know, Scotch bonnet-based hot sauce. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I got to when last time at the Heat Wave back in November, we were right next door to you, and I got to try the sauce, and I had to get a bottle and bring it home. And then you ended up winning the category that it was entered in. I mean, fantastic. Correct. You know, and
that was pretty cool, man. I was really happy for that. I was actually very surprised, but you know, elated nonetheless, right?
Yeah, definitely. Now, how many different sauces do you have?
So I actually have 2 hot sauces, and then we've got a jerk seasoning, a curry seasoning, an all-purpose wet rub, a barbecue sauce, and then your favorite, the hot pickled veg.
Yes, I love that stuff. And you know what? That is a lot hotter than I thought it was, because you start eating it, and because I had it in the refrigerator because I like that the coolness of the vegetables and like the coleslaw or stuff. And so I started eating it, and it was like, oh man, this is starting to bite back a little bit, and it just kept on building. But the flavor was so good, I could not stop eating it.
Yeah, nice, man. I'm happy to hear that. It's a really, really unique item, but it's very common here in Jamaica. In Jamaica, we refer to it. It's called escovitch, and it's kind of like a ceviche down in, you know, or what the South Americans call ceviche. Except in South America, those guys do a lot of they do ceviche with seafood and stuff. But my version of it is just all vegetables.
Right,
which is the Jamaican way of doing it, and we usually use it on and put it on top of fish, or we'll have it with oysters and stuff. But as you said, it's kind of like you could put it, you know, like a sauerkraut or kind of like a coleslaw, whatever. You can have it on a hamburger or hot dog, and it's, you know, that kind of really nice heat, vinegary kind of coleslaw or sauerkraut kind of deal.
Yeah, I loved it on a kielbasa off the grill, or a hot dog. You just put it on top like you would sauerkraut, and really you don't really need anything else, and brings so much great flavor to the dish that you're eating it with. I never thought about it with the fish, or you know, mix it in with something like that. But that would be a great idea. I'll have to try that next. Now, are you going to be at Heat Wave on the end of February?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there for sure.
I'm getting another job.
I'm gonna send it in to the competition as well this year. When I get back to Canada, I gotta actually ship my stuff out to those guys. But I want to put that in and see if we can garner another award while we're up there for that one.
Yeah. Now, if anybody is watching this and they are in the London, Canada area, February 29th, the Heat Wave Hot Sauce Expo dropped by last year. It was a major success, and that's where I first met Michael. And there was probably 30 or 40 different vendors there, and it was packed. For a first-year show, it was absolutely unbelievable. And I can't wait to go back again this year, because I'm going to be picking up some more of that wonderful sauce that I really can't get a lot of here in the States. And but I have found out Hot Sauce Unlimited will will ship to the United States.
Yes, yeah, and Hot Sauce Unlimited has my they have my sauces there as well. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Now I got to ask you, where did the name NERPY'S come from?
So you know, like it's so okay. Basically, it's a nickname, and like all nicknames, you know, usually it comes out of you know, nonsense or shenanigans typically, and it actually came from here in Jamaica. A buddy of mine who's actually known as a sheriff down here. He's like a barbecue grill guru down here. They call him the sheriff. He runs a thing called Sheriff Barbecue. He gave me the name, and it was just out of, you know, a night of, we were having some fun, and you know, lots of rum was involved in that evening, and a little bit of nonsense, and NERPY'S sort of came out of that evening, and I forgot about it. We're out at night, and the next day we go to the beach, and you know, my friend David was there, and he said, so David says to me, yeah, so you remember last night? I'm like, yeah. He says, okay, I'm gonna make that name stick. I'm like, what name? He's like, NERPY'S. And he walked up and down the beach, man, and told everybody on the beach, hey, start calling Michael NERPY, or any derivative, NERPY'S, NERPY'S, whatever it was, and that was it, man. The name stuck, and everybody calls me NERPY. Every time I get to Jamaica, everybody's like, yeah, NERPY'S here.
Now, is that any kind of is that name a throwback to different things?
Nothing. It's nothing. It has no relation to anything. It was just what it came out of is like, as I said, there was a lot of rum being consumed, and what happened was there was actually a story of like me, or the story really comes out of me actually trying to replicate a cat's meow. And the meow, it's a really silly story, like I said, but the meow actually morphed into a NERP, because we were at this place where there was a lot of kittens running around, and the guy who was trying to capture, they got out of where they were staying, and I was messing around with the guy, throwing him off in terms of where he could find these kittens, whatever, and I was NERP, meow, meow, and then the NERP came out, and anyways, it became a little bit of a, there's a little bit more to the story, but I don't know if I can get into that. But anyways, it became a little bit of, like I said, a lot of nonsense and shenanigans came out of it. And it was a fun night.
Usually stories have a little bit more that we don't want to share.
Well, you know, it was just, put it this way, NERPY'S a fun guy to hang around with.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Great. Having a few rums, and then you're trying to corral kittens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit ridiculous, but anyway, it was fun, and the name stuck, and you know, at the time, you know, this was probably about over 20 odd years ago, and I said to my friend at the time, I said, you know, that's not gonna stick, man. I'm in my late 20s at this point. And I said, come on, dude, you really think, you know, you're gonna give me a nickname at this stage in my life? Come on, it's not gonna happen. Oh yeah, well, here we are. Now it's a business.
Yeah, it's perfect. Nobody has a name like that on their business. I mean,
not at all.
I think it's brilliant. It worked out wonderful, and you're on the label.
And now NERPY'S is actually a character. It's really funny. So NERPY'S, you know, became this. You know, we're putting together the branding for the company and so forth. And you know, I said to my girlfriend I said, what am I gonna call this company? And she's like, call it NERPY'S. Like, this is what everybody calls you. That's your nickname. So why don't you know, call it NERPY'S? I'm like, no, it's a silly name. It's stupid. I'm not gonna do that. She said, no, it's catchy. It's cool. Whatever. And all right. And then my friend, who's a brilliant web designer, graphic designer, he created the caricature of me, which is on the bottle. And now, you know, after all this time, now the caricature and NERPY'S is synonymous with, is the brand, and so NERPY'S is actually now this character, which is, yeah. I think it's pretty cool, and everyone tells me that it's a pretty cool, you know, deal of having, you know, your face or your image or your caricature on your own brand that you've created, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's great. I just love it. And everybody loves you, man. You walk in, everybody knows your name, everybody's smiling. But I tell you what, it's because you started first, and your smile and your personality is infectious. And it's
Thank you very much, sir.
a pleasure knowing you, and I can't wait to see you live again, because I'm really looking forward to the heat wave at the end of the month, the 29th, because every time, you're a wonderful person. I can't wait to see you guys. Now, I have noticed Canada, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, some of the nicest people I've met up there, especially when the chili community that you guys are involved in. Everybody bends over backwards to help everybody else, and it's pretty spectacular to see. And you get a lot of that down here, but I think it's even a tighter community up there, because you guys are just getting kind of started in this, and you're building, and it's beginning to be quite a large community in Canada.
Yeah, you know what? And you hit the nail on the head. We are a smaller community there, and I think that's probably why that is, because it's a smaller group of us, right? You know, the United States is so huge. You got so many manufacturers. There are so many guys that have been in the business for so long, as you know. But you're right. You know, for us, I remember I started doing this about 10 years ago. And when I was looking at the industry back then, there was maybe only about I would say a handful of guys in Toronto doing hot sauce. And when I got into it at that point, I was maybe one of five. I'll put you out, something like that, right? There was a handful. Now you look at across Ontario, as we were at Heatwave in Hamilton, there was 40 something people there, like from not including your guys from not including you and the guys from the States, but so there's over 40 something guys in Canada that I know of that are making hot sauce now. So you take some of the guys that were from like the East Coast and some guys that are outside of the Toronto area. I still think there's still a smaller base. I think in Toronto last year we got nominated for one of the top 20 hot sauces in Canada. Sorry, in Toronto, and there's about 20 people now in Toronto making hot sauces.
Wow.
That I know of, right? So it's a smaller community, but nonetheless, it's grown tremendously, because I don't think 10 years ago there was 20 odd guys making hot sauce or people making hot sauce in Toronto 10 years ago.
Wow. Right. That's grown a lot. It's grown exponentially around the world. I mean, especially when you go inside the grocery stores now and you see hot chips, hot mayo, hot, candies, I mean, everything is going extremely hot. When you see the big manufacturers starting to get a hold of that hot community awareness that you guys are putting out there, you're onto something big.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's a great space to be in right now, where it's very exciting. It's a fun place to be in. There's one thing about this community, like you said, we all for the most part, I haven't really seen any animosity with anyone in the industry. We all get along very well, and everyone shares. Everyone wants to try each other's sauces. Everyone has fun with each other in the industry. We all love what we do, and that's why we're doing what we're doing, right? Because it's fun, it's exciting, it's nice to try everyone's different things. When you go and you try multiple different sauces, and you get that burn. That burn creates it creates smiles. Nonetheless, it's fun.
It almost seems you get addicted to it, and you have to have more of that burn. I mean, I look for foods to eat with my hot sauce, not hot sauce to eat with my food.
Right? Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And and you're right. The industry's growing. I was looking at some numbers the other day and talking about sort of. And I mean, the data might be a little bit dated, so to speak. But we're looking at a $3 billion industry in the United States alone. I think the Canadian market has tremendous growth opportunity right now. So I think we're all in a good space right now with this, where we are. So I'm looking forward to the next 10 years, because we've got even more great things ahead of us. I see.
Absolutely. Tracy and I have been talking about that before, is that it started out as like this huge hot sauce underground. but now it's starting to boil over into the mainstream. And I think you're at the perfect peak to make this to make it go so huge.
Yeah.
Earlier, you were talking about your products. Can you run down your products and kind of give us a little example of what you have?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with the hot sauce that you have there right now. So that's our Gold Very Hot. It's a Scotch Bonnet mango as our sort of primary components, and then I've added some carrots in there, a certain type of squash, a little bit of turmeric, and this is an all natural product, and my entire line is like that. So that's my flagship. That was the first sauce that I made, and it's been our #1 seller ever since we put it on the market. The next one I make is a pomegranate Scotch bonnet, and that's a little bit that's my hot, so it's a little bit milder than the very hot that you have here. And that one also has some fresh beets and carrots in there as well, and I add a little bit of paprika to it. Really unique blend. Probably the only hot sauce that I know of that's pomegranate infused on the market that I've seen anyhow. I don't know if anyone else is doing that combination. And that one's got a very rich, very unique flavor profile. When you come up in, you've tried it too as well, but next time when we connect, you got to try that one again.
Yeah.
And then my jerk seasoning is as authentic Jamaican jerk as you will get. I put it up against anyone out there that's doing a jerk. I think it's as true to taste of the real Jamaican jerk that we make here. There's a part of the country in Jamaica here called Port Antonio or Portland, and that's basically the home of jerk. That's where jerk. It's an area there called Boston, and that Boston jerk is really very just so rich flavor-wise. The profile of the jerk out there is what everybody sort of has aspired to over the years, and that's what I tried to make my jerk like, and I think I hit it on the money with it. And that's my second bestseller in the overall product line. The jerk is it just takes you here. It brings you to Jamaica in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Nice. And then we do that hot pickled veg that I mentioned as well too. That's something that's very unique to Jamaica in terms of what we do, what we call escabeche, hot pickled veggies. That one's actually hotter than the gold hot sauce that you have. So that one's actually my hottest item.
Yeah.
And then I do a curry, which is a Jamaican-based curry with some coconut oil in there, a little bit of citrus, so it has a nice Jamaican curry flavor. If you like your curry chicken or your curry goat, or you want to do some lentils or chickpeas, that curry is amazing. It's just got a very rich, robust, delicious curry flavor. And then I do another one which is pretty unique. It's called an all-purpose. I call it an all-purpose seasoning, but I affectionately refer to it as my Jamaican pesto. And the reason being because it's a pesto, but with some Scotch bonnet peppers in there, which most pestos don't have. Right? No pesto that I know has pepper in it to begin with. So we throw a little Scotch bonnet in there and give it a nice little lift. It's my mildest item, but it's got a nice little bite. Nothing too crazy, but adds a nice flavor to anything you want to cook. So if you want to season up some chicken, or you want to do, you want to throw it into a pasta sauce, it's a perfect blend you can use on anything you want to cook. So there's like 12 different herbs, a little bit of olive oil, lemon juice, and like I said, some Scotch bonnets in there. And then my last item is a tropical barbecue sauce. So it's a Scotch bonnet, pineapple, maple syrup. What else is in there? A little bit of tamarind paste. So it's got all these tropical ingredients, that gives it a nice little tropical flavor. And I kind of took a page out of, that Kansas City, Texas style barbecue, where those guys do a lot of like bourbon and whiskey infused barbecues. And I threw a little Jamaican rum in there as well. And so that's kind of my version of, kind of like the Kansas style barbecue, but with the West Indian or Jamaican influence in there. And you get a nice spicy little heat. It's kind of mid-range in the heat with a nice little sweet. And you taste all those things. You taste the rum, you taste the Scotch bonnets, and then you get a little sweet from the maple syrup in the end. So you get a little Canadian Jamaican thing going on right there with that.
Nice.
And that's it, man. That's my line.
I have not tried your barbecue sauce yet. I am definitely digging that. I'm going to get in all over that. And you know, that's one thing about like that you were saying the jerk, your seasoning. There,
Yeah.
it is hard to find. Even when I was in Jamaica, it was hard to find good jerk seasoning to take back home. It was
Yeah.
it was it. I don't know if it's the wood you cook on or what, but I could not duplicate.
Gotta
I
take a sip of the red stripe and while you're talking about Jamaica.
Right. Well, I could not duplicate that flavor when I got home, so I can't wait to get your jerk seasoning and give that a try because it sounds like you have taken it right from where you came from.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? When I was putting the recipe together for the jerk, I actually flew down here, and I said to one of my cousins, I said, let's go to Port Antonio. He's like, why? I said, I want to go to Boston. He's like, for what? I said, well, I want to go and sit down with the guys in Boston and talk jerk and eat some food, and I want to just make sure that my recipe is on point. I want to make sure it is as true to that Boston flavor, Boston Beach in Jamaica,
Okay.
flavor that I grew up knowing, you know. And he's like, sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. So
Yeah.
we drove to Boston, and we sat down and we had a couple red stripes with some of the guys there, and maybe a Ray and Nephew white rum or two, and we ate some food, man. We had some jerk chicken, we had some jerk snapper, and I think my cousin had some jerk pork. So we ate a lot of food, and we had a few beverages, and by the time I was done, I was like, okay, you know, I got all the knowledge I need, and and my recipe was pretty much done already at the time. And, you know, the one takeaway from that was that I left her with was to reduce the sodium load. So when I went back to Toronto, I actually um, tweaked my recipe and toned down the salt that I added to the recipe because
Okay.
that was the only thing I found here was that, and it's kind of typical that I found there was a higher salt content in a lot of the jerk recipes here. So I reduced the sodium load in my recipe, and it's worked out well.
Nice. Nice. Now, do you have a website?
Yes, I do. www.nerpys.com.
And what will people find on that?
So on there, you can find a little bit of our story. Our website's actually pretty cool because you can go to a website. It's actually designed with sort of a tropical flair to it. So there's some pictures of Jamaica on there. There's the background is actually very tropical, and you can find our story. You can find information about all of our products. A list of my vendors that carry the sauces in Toronto and the Toronto area, GTA as we call it, and then we have a couple eateries that use our jerk in house. So there's a couple restaurants and so forth that we sell our jerk in bulk to. So those are listed on there as well. And then there's a link to shopping portal, so you can go and buy our sauces. You click on there, it takes you to our Etsy page, and then you can buy our stuff via our Etsy page there as well.
Nice.
And then, of course, there's our social media content. So you can find a link to our Facebook page and our Instagram page, as well as our Twitter handle, too.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. That's what I wanted to ask you. Now, can people overseas order your stuff?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I ship, as a matter of fact, I got a buddy of mine down in Florida. We just shipped him 2 cases of the Gold Very Hot there. That's his favorite. And I have he just mentioned me. He says he's got a friend out in Virginia that he wants me to ship some sauces to. So when I get back up to Toronto, I got to ship a case over to Virginia.
Nice. Now, do you have recipes on your site or not?
No, I do not. Not yet. That's sort of that is in the plans for this year. I'm gonna do a little bit of work on our website, kind of just improve the interaction with it. So I'm gonna load up some recipes on there and put some more content on there, so that the website becomes a little bit more, just has some more content. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what is in store for NERPY'S next?
So I'll tell you something. You know, one of the things one of the reasons I'm also down here for is to talk to some of the folks here about some of the ideas that I have. Just trying to create a little bit more of a link between what I do in terms of that Jamaican authenticity. So I had a meeting today with some people regarding a coffee project that I have in mind, and so you'll hear more about that as we go forward in this year. And then I'm also going to meet with some people on Thursday regarding Scotch bonnet pepper mash.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. And that's and isn't Jamaica area kind of where um the Scotch bonnet kind of started?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a pepper that we grew up on here. Scotch bonnet is sort of like the native pepper to Jamaica, like kind of like the worry is to Guyana, or the Trinidad is sort of the scorpion is to Trinidad. The Scotch bonnet is a Jamaican pepper. Now unfortunately, there are a lot of guys that are selling peppers all across the world that aren't really Scotch bonnets, but they're being sold as Scotch bonnets. And one of the things to look out for, and it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, and I might catch some flack about this, but nonetheless, I'll put it out there, because what happens, you have the Caribbean hots, or what we call West Indies reds, that people are selling as Scotch bonnets. But the way to know the difference is Scotch bonnets don't turn red. So a true Scotch bonnet, when it's at its full maturity, only gets to like a yellow or an orange, kind of like my shirt. It gets to be a very deep yellow, and that's at full maturity. That's a true Scotch bonnet. So if you get a Scotch bonnet that's sold to you, or you purchase a Scotch bonnet and it's red, that's not a Scotch bonnet. That's a hybrid, or a cousin Scotch bonnet. It's the West Indies red or the Caribbean hots. So what I'm trying to do here right now is to really kind of help to elevate the awareness with the Scotch bonnet pepper itself, and help some of the local farmers here really sort of get back to ownership and a pride in that pepper, because it truly is, in my opinion, one of the most flavorful peppers out there. Maybe it's not the hottest, we know this,
right?
But as far as flavor is concerned, I think it's one of the most flavorful peppers in the world. You talk to most chili heads, I think, well, it will be in I would say about a 7 to 8% agreement with that, or 7 out of 8 out of 10 sort of in agreement with that, just based on the flavor profile of a Scotch bonnet. It's just such a rich, even the aroma of it. When you smell the Scotch bonnet pepper, it's got such a nice aroma. You almost want to eat it whole. It's just that, to me, it's just that flavorful.
Awesome. Now, do they grow them year round down there in Jamaica?
Yeah, I mean, you have challenges with the weather. Sometimes when we get a lot of rain down here, of course, the pepper doesn't like that. The Scotch bonnet loves the heat, like most peppers do. So when we have a lot of rain down here, it sort of creates a little bit of a drought, actually, in the pepper industry. But once if we get lots of sun and lots of heat, peppers come out, and they're very, they're robust. The flavor profile is amazing, and the heat's there, and they flourish like crazy. And the nice thing is, with this climate, yeah, you can grow it year round. And obviously we need the water, we need the rain, but the sun is and the heat are what they thrive on.
That's cool. I did not know that. I know the Scotch bonnet has got such a unique flavor to it, and I did not know, because I have seen Scotch bonnet peppers that weren't yellow. They had a reddish tint to them, or a real dark orange, and apparently that's not a real Scotch bonnet then.
Yeah, the real Scotch bonnets never turn red. So the going to an orange is okay, but if you see them red, man, those are a different variety. Those are Caribbean hots. Those are West Indies reds. It's we actually call that country pepper here. It's an entirely different pepper. It's not and in truth, it just doesn't have that pepper doesn't have the same heat or the same flavor. It's close, but if you put apple to apple beside each other with those peppers, you can tell the difference.
Well, I can't wait to try the mash that you start developing using that, because I think it'd be invaluable to the types of things you could use it with, that it would be so versatile to have that type of mash for. Yeah. Now, you going to use it just for making stuff, or are you going to sell it as a mash?
I'm going to do both.
Oh,
So what I'm trying to do with that is really kind of ensure that within my business and from a production standpoint, my supply chain is 100% solid. And the key ingredient for my business is a Scotch bonnet pepper. So I need to ensure that I'm getting that pepper year round. And as I scale and grow my business, I want to. It needs to. The critical component to that is a Scotch bonnet pepper. So the mash is critical to that.
right.
The time it takes me to, go, if I was to buy fresh peppers, for example, and destem the peppers and, go through a whole sort of checking to ensure, like, from a quality control standpoint, if I can get that all done here, and, right at the source and have the mash available, then when they ship to me up in Canada, and we have this procedure essentially locked down, then I can have this pepper mash coming to me year round. I can integrate it into all of my products. I can build out new products from that, and also too, I can also take that mash and I can sell it in its raw form to people who, like me, are making Scotch bonnet based sauces. So it will become a product that I can make available to others in the community. And also, if you want to just buy it, you want that true, like 100% pure Scotch bonnet to use on its own without added flavors and just that, raw Scotch bonnet. Hey, I can probably sell it to you in a jar as well. So that might be something as well too that becomes one of our added new SKUs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're onto something because I find a lot of times that you want a sauce that just has that pepper flavor, and
Right.
that would be a perfect type of product for that instance. And then sometimes you grab a hot sauce that has a bunch of ingredients that actually changes your food because it needs that. And sometimes it just needs the heat, and so I think you're right onto something here. I think it's a great idea.
Thanks, brother, man. That's the idea, man. And like I said, I have a meeting with these guys on Thursday, and we're gonna look at two variations of the mash, a green mash and a yellow mash. So if everything is, when I do the tasting and the look-see kind of thing, if everything's good to go, then we're off to the races, and 2020 gets greater.
Awesome. Now, is there anything else you want to share with everybody while I've got you on your little vacation in Jamaica?
Well, listen, I'm just happy to be here. It's great to be in Jamaica. Everything is airy, and we get some business taken care of here while I'm on vacation, so to speak, and incorporate a little bit of business and pleasure, and then to get back to Toronto and get back to work. We've just signed a nice deal with another major retailer in Toronto, and that's going to put our product on a lot more shelves across the city, and put NERPY'S even more so on the front page with a lot of consumers, and continue to build up our hot sauce community by putting more sauce on the road, man.
Awesome. Now everybody can find your all your products at NERPY'S.com. And there's a buying port right there, a portal where they can pick it up, where they can order it, and also follow you on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You're on too, yeah.
So Twitter at NERPY'S, Instagram is NERPY'S Inc., and then Facebook is NERPY'S Hot Sauces.
Nice.
Or NERPY'S Hot Sauce Inc., I think, on Facebook. Yeah.
Excellent. I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to out of your trip down there to Jamaica. I don't know if I could do that for somebody. I really appreciate that.
Hey, listen, man. I told you when we first met, you're the man, and I will always make time for you, my man.
Well, thank you very much. That really, truly does mean the world to me. You hold on a minute there. I'm going to sign out, and I'll get right back with you.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Check out NERPY'S. Fantastic, unique, original Jamaican-style products. Absolutely amazing. You're going to love them. And there'll be a address in the link where you can get right to his webpage, check it out. This whole evening was for Chili Magazine. Check out Chili Magazine at www.chilimagazine.net. All your spicy needs and all in one place. So until next time, everybody, thank you very much for watching. This is Tasting the Heat Live, and we are here for Chili Magazine.